Good morning, class. This is Miss Boykin. So good to see you all. So this week we're going to continue learning about meerkats and how we can research about them online. So I'm going to be using PebbleGo today for my research, but you can use PebbleGo as well, which is also on fcps.edu. So let's go over and review the questions that we have already come up with that we want to ask about our animal. So for my example, meerkats, the questions are, what kinds of shelter do they have? Do they live in groups? How big can they grow? And the last one is, how many babies do they have? So I'm going to go and head over to PebbleGo, and I'm going to type into my search bar meerkats and see what comes up. Okay, so I'm looking at our first question here, and the first question is, what kind of shelter do they have? Shelter is the same thing as a home, so what kind of home do they live in? So when I'm looking at the tabs, and I'm reading through all the tabs, let's read through all the tabs together. Body, habitat, food, life cycle, and fun facts. So you're going to want to read through all those topics, those tabs that are the same thing as topics, and you're going to try to decide which one do you think your answer to your question will be under. So in my head, I'm looking through and I'm reading body. We want to learn about where meerkats live. So I don't think their body is going to be very helpful. Habitat might be helpful because I know that the word habitat means where animals live or what they live in or their shelter, which is probably the closest we're going to get to our answer. So let's go ahead and read what it says under habitat. Meerkats live in deserts in Africa. They live in colonies of about 30 meerkats. A meerkat colony makes its home in a burrow. Burrows have many tunnels. Okay, so there was a lot of information just in that small section about habitats. And which part of what we just read answers our question? Let's go back to our question. What kind of shelter do they have? So, shelter, home. What kind of home do they have? Okay. A meerkat colony makes its home in a burrow. So, they make their home in a burrow. So, meerkats live in a burrows. Okay, now, does this section on habitats answer any of our other questions that we have so far? Our next question is, do they live in groups? Yes, we just read about that. So, meerkats live in deserts in Africa. They live in colonies of about 30 meerkats. A meerkat colony makes its home in a burrow. Burrows have many tunnels. So, they're living in about groups of 30. So I'm going to go ahead and type that out. Okay, does this tab answer any more of our questions? Our remaining questions are, how big can they grow and how many babies do they have? Habitat doesn't really answer any of those questions, so let's keep reading. Our next question is, how big can they grow? Okay, how big can they grow? I'm looking at our tabs again: body, habitat, food, life cycle, fun facts. I'm gonna guess that it's not in food. We already know it's not in habitats because we just read that. I'm gonna check body because bodies grow. Okay, under body it says, meerkats are mammals with striped fur. Black fur surrounds their eyes. Most meerkats are 1 foot or 0.3 meter tall. Their tails are long and thin. Okay, let's go back to our question. How big can they grow? Well, it says most meerkats are 1 foot or 0.3 meter tall. So they grow to be about 1 foot or 0.3 meter tall. So let's go ahead and type that out. When you're taking notes based on research, you don't need to write full sentences. You can bullet point here and there. Make sure you're getting the most important parts of the answer to the question down. Don't worry about full sentences or grammar at this point. Next question, last question. How many babies do they have? Does this tab that we're currently on answer any more of our questions? Does body answer our question of how many babies they have? No, we just read that. It didn't say anything about babies. We know it's not habitat because we read that and it didn't answer that question before. We know it's probably not food. So let's try life cycle. Under life cycle, it says female meerkats give birth to 2 to 4 pups in a litter. All meerkats in the colony help care for the pups. Pups are adults at 6 months. Meerkats live 12 to 14 years. Does this answer our question? Yes, it does. It does answer our question. Female meerkats give birth to 2 to 4 pups in a litter. A litter is the same thing as a family. So we have 2 to 4 babies per family. We can go ahead and write that down. And there we have it. We have answered all 4 of our questions, all based in research. But what do you do if your question, the answer to your question wasn't there? Sometimes you have to keep looking around, go to different sources, and find your answers there. Well, thank you all for joining me on this. This was a great lesson. You guys did such a good job. All right, and I'll see you all later. Bye.